Ontario's transportation minister is outlining new legislation surrounding bike lanes today. Clara Pasieka was at the announcement this morning. Clara, CBC reported that the legislation was coming, so what more did we learn today?
Dwight, sources had told CBC that legislation was coming that would particularly tackle issues where a municipality chooses to build bike lanes but needs to take out a car lane in the process. So we learned today that that is going to be the case in this form. The transportation minister saying that a city would need to get provincial approval in order to build a bike lane if it involves taking out a car lane. Here's a little more of what he had to say.
Across our province, we're seeing an explosion of bike lanes, including many that were installed during the pandemic when fewer vehicles were on the road and their impacts on traffic were unclear. When strategically placed, bike lanes are a vital part of every city, offering residents a safe and a reliable way to move around. What cities should not be doing, however, is taking away lanes of traffic on our most congested roads, like for the underused bike lanes on Cedar and Joseph Streets in downtown Kitchener that are making it difficult for emergency vehicles to get through, or O'Connor Street in Ottawa, where lanes were pointlessly taken away on the key artery, making it unsafe for drivers and cyclists alike. And of course, Bloor Street, Arbor, and College right here in Toronto, Yonge. These streets are less than 500 meters apart from one another.
Now, I'm here on Bloor Street West in Etobicoke, a site where bike lanes have been particularly controversial. Now, the minister did not necessarily say that he'd be removing this bike lane behind me, but he did say that he is asking all municipalities who have a bike lane related project in the last 5 years to provide their data.
All right, Clara, what are the people saying? You had a chance to speak to people about this legislation. How are they reacting?
Well, the government invited many stakeholders to their announcement. Obviously, people who were in favor of this type of project. We had the chance to speak with several of them. There is a petition ongoing against these bike lanes. So some who came to support this announcement, they're happy and hopeful, but others have concerns about what this new bill would mean.
They talk about complete streets, but really they haven't looked thoroughly at the impact that they've had on pedestrians, on elderly individuals trying to cross streets. It's been very badly executed policy. It makes no sense to put additional cyclists onto the busiest and most dangerous streets in our city. Why would you route more people onto streets that are already congested?
The stretch of Bloor, for it to remain successful as a cycling route, does need some form of protection. But that said, there are different configurations that can be done here. I'm not an engineer, but for instance, the city could choose to limit the number of parking spaces to open up a travel lane instead, that there are options for doing this. 6 people have died this year riding their bikes in Toronto, and almost all of those fatalities were on arterial roads like Bloor, where the province is suggesting legislation that would basically prevent municipalities from putting in the kind of safety measures that really save lives.
Now, a debate over data has been a big theme of the press conference today. The minister is saying that some of the data that the city collected about traffic wasn't necessarily accurate because it was only taken during days that did not have poor weather. Some businesses also sharing that view. So that's certainly going to be an issue that we'll be following along to see what happens when this all starts to unfold when the legislature's back next week.
This debate is not going anywhere. Thank you, Clara.